Hello, everybody. Rick DiClemente with Astrology Unplugged. Nice to have you join us for week number 390. So we're getting fast approaching the 400 mark. Tonight is the subject of job occurrences, life direction. And I will say pretty clearly that for most of the years when you're an early astrologer, most people ask you about their love life. I've been doing it about 45 years or so. And most of those early years are about love life. Everybody wants to know about their love life. And that's faded away now. And it's replaced definitely clearly by life direction. That's what people want to know about now. They want to know about their life direction. And they're both very closely related, actually. And life direction is a very difficult subject. I know there's no place you look in a chart specifically and it specifically tells you that this is where your life direction is. It's not that simple, and we knew it wouldn't be. Astrology is always going to out-complex you, no matter what you do. Um, but I'm going to do a bunch of different charts. Matter of fact, let me take a second and I'll load up with some charts here. Okay, I've got a lot of people's charts loaded up. It's going to be difficult to teach this subject without doing a lot of examples. It's just that simple. Um, when you look at a chart, there's a lot of misgivings, especially when you're new at it and you read the books, and the books try to explain to you about life direction. Um, some people think you look at the sixth house. Some people say you look at the 10th house. Some people say you look at the seventh house. And they have all got their place for us to look at. Um, the main thing to do in astrology is to understand what the angles are doing for you. Okay, we keep talking about the four angles in a chart. At the top, we have what we could call life direction, or where you're going to. And that's prominently one of the main areas you look at when you're looking to see life direction. At the bottom of the chart, we see where you've come from, top where you're going to, bottom where you come from, top where you're going to. Left side, it's backwards on here. Left side, the ascendant, who am I? Right side, who are we? So the ascendant and the descendant have to do with me and others, while the vertical line has to do with where I come from and where I'm going to. Therefore, a lot of times you can get a lot of clues about life direction or what's a good career for somebody by reading what's in their 10th house, by looking at the ruler of their 10th house, but it's not always that simple. One of the things I have found to be absolutely clear is one of the main things to do with finding about life direction is to find out a person's trauma. Most people have a trauma in their background, and you find the traumas largely by looking at the solar arcs. Solar arcs are planets that are close by, 10 degrees apart, 15 degrees apart, 3 degrees apart, corresponding to the age that the trauma happened. So I'll show you an example. Here's tonight's chart. This is a map of tonight's chart as if somebody were born the time of the show. So you can see this chart is not a birth chart, but it would be a birth chart for somebody born around now. A solar arc is nothing more than finding out the number of degrees between two planets, Jupiter and Uranus, in this example, being 20 degrees apart. So at age 20, this person has their Uranus and their Jupiter run into each other. And that can be good. It can be a good event. It can also be very traumatic. You look for different kinds of planets when you're looking for traumas. For example, Neptune and the moon. Age 15, a child being born right now, during their 15th year, they're going to have Neptune run into the moon. And I would ask them about trauma during that year, trauma with the mother, trauma with drowning. Neptune is very closely similar to people having drowning experiences or near drowning experiences. It's very common. Also, Neptune is very common when you look at a person for spiritual awakening in their chart. So you look for all these combinations, such as Pluto hitting the ascendant at age 10. It's 10 degrees of difference here. So we pretty much can be assured that at age 10, around age 10, 10 and a half, Pluto ran into the ascendant. So you talk to the client and you ask them about trauma during those times. And it's very common for the client to say to you, no, nothing happened then. And then they go, oh, yeah, something did. Because we tend to push down our traumas. We tend to try to forget about them, try to squash them. Now, when you learn about trauma, the reason it's so important is I used to make the mistake when I started doing astrology. I'd take a Virgo like Sigmund and I would try to help him find a job that is Virgoan in its nature, such as nursing or carpentry. If I were working with um, Erica, I would work with her being a Taurus, and I would try to find a job that's got Taurus qualities. Well, I found out sooner or later that was just a mistake. That's just trying the easy route, and that's not how you do it. And what I did find out through time is when you find out somebody's trauma, then you got a real clue about their job, a real clue about their what they're heading for, because you're not going to do a job unless the job is meaningful to you. You're not going to feel called to do something unless you feel that it's important. And inside of us, most of us have nothing that's more important than the traumas that we've been through. Now, whether you're a rape victim and you want to work with young girls and helping them in that capacity, or whether your parents were artists and you want to go that route because you've seen so much of it. Trauma means that something in your life had a big impact on you. Okay? Something in your life had a big impact on you. In my chart, I have the sun opposite Uranus, right across the ascendant. And Uranus, we know, is the planet that rules astrology. So it's no wonder that those two planets indicate the real love that I have for it. Plus, when I did find out um, the astrology was my thing, it happened to me very suddenly, and it was real clear, and this is what you're going to do, and that was it. And that's how Uranus works. And I must tell you, I've not had many experiences in my life like that one. When I was in a bookstore, and this was 46 years ago, I was in a bookstore, and to this day, I can't tell you whether the book jumped off the shelf into my hands or whether I reached up and grabbed it. I can't remember. That's how distinct it was. It was so clear to me. This is what you are supposed to do. Black and white, clear. And like I say, I've never had another experience like that. and it was absolutely right. And I feel very driven to do astrology because I feel that I have probably done it a whole lot in the past. When I ask people, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Most of the time, people will say, well, I just don't know. What do you want to do? Well, I just don't know. Well, it's really not the case. It's not the case that they don't know. A lot of times it's the case they're so tired of arguing with themselves. They're tired of straying. They're tired of worrying. They're tired of trying to figure things out that they have convinced themselves that they don't know what they want to do. And then I usually say to them, yeah, you do. Then they go, no, I don't. And I go, yeah, you do. Then they go, no, I don't. And I go, yes, you do. What is it you want to do? And then they go, well, I would kind of like to do this. And you see, they know what they want to do. It's just that they've been disheartened or they've been discouraged by so many voices around them or parents telling them you can't make money at that or whatever it is. But a lot of times you want to guide the person towards what do you enjoy doing? One of the things I use is this is kind of funny, but I use it. I say, imagine you're on Gilligan's Island, and you only got so many people there, you only got so much space, and you only got so many things that you can do. If you were on Gilligan's Island, what would you do? Would you be a carpenter? Would you be a cook? Would you be a map maker? What would you do? Would you be working with electronics and trying to send some signal out? And a lot of time, yes, Erica,
Or would you be bossing everybody else around and telling them what to do, huh?
maybe so. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that applied to the captain on the ship or not, but but it's an interesting proposition to try to figure out what people are good at. Now, one of the things I have found lately in the past couple of years is the sixth harmonic. And the sixth harmonic, I call that the harmonic chart that talks about your destiny. And I have found a lot of great truth in following this chart. And the sixth harmonic is performed by taking the number six, which is the Virgo number, which has to do with work skills. Virgo's always about work skills. What are your skills about? Most proud, most proud people in the zodiac about their work abilities are Virgos. So that's why you use the sixth harmonic, and you multiply everything in the chart by the number six, and you put it back on the circle, and you come up with things that are very interesting. Now, let me start out with Sigmund's chart. Okay. Okay. I'm going to show you several different answers. There's no one answer to this question of what's your best life direction, but I'm going to give you hints at it and you will see. Now, we're going to go back to Sigma's chart. Now, you cannot forget the fact that in Sigma's chart, he's got 5 planets in Libra in the ninth house. Well, forget about the rest of the chart. Forget about the fact that he's a Virgo or a double Virgo. He's got 5 planets in Libra. Okay, he did work at a radio station for a while, emceeing certain types of music. Libra is about teaching. The ninth house is about teaching. It's about communicating with others. So we see in Virgo's chart, Sigmund Virgos are not necessarily the best communicators, but we see in his chart, he's got a phenomenal ability to communicate because of the really strong sixth house. We do notice that the sun and moon are both in Virgo and they're both in the eighth house. Well, the eighth house is quite different. The eighth house is digging deep into psychology, digging deep into subject material, digging deep into what's behind the scenes, what really is meant by so and so. So right away, and you see he's also got 3 planets in Leo in the seventh house. And the seventh house is a very good house to look at for teaching, guidance, being a counselor. So you can see right away a rather easy answer for Sigmund's chart. He's got a marvelous ability to guide people. He's got a marvelous ability to communicate with people. He's got a really strong ability to teach people. And these are things that you'll know if you get to know Sigmund, that he's very good at, he's very strong at. He takes it very seriously. So in his case, you take a combination of 3 different houses to come up with your answer. And I think it's pretty accurate. Now, if we go look at Sigmund's sixth harmonic, you simply take his chart and you go to the harmonics and you go to 6. Let's see what we find here. Okay. Now, this is interesting. We see in his sixth harmonic again here a repeat of a great amount of importance in the ninth house. Jupiter's in Leo at the top of the chart. Leo's at the top of the chart. And one of the main things I find that's critical is what sign is at the midheaven? What sign is here at the top of the chart? That tells me an awful lot I have found about a person's life direction. In a 10th house, Leo, surrounded by Jupiter and Uranus, this is a very Leonine type 10th house. It means that not only does Sigmund is he good at communicating, but when you have a lot of Leo, it's really big into creativity. He's got to be creative when he's doing it, not just teaching, not just talking, not just reiterating, but actually being creative as he talks. Now, what does this mean to you, Sigmund?
Well, you're really on the money, Rick. Um, I have 2 major degrees in education, also in supervision and curriculum, handful of certifications along the way. And I did many years of teaching, wound up many years of social service, where the county and state reports had to be very clear and free from extraneous verbiage.
There's the Virgo.
And also along the way, I wound up in supervision, so I had a nice handful of staff that I was bringing along the same way. So,
So very Virgo and very Virgo. And Virgos are very good with students, apprenticeships. They're very good with apprentices. Apprentice and Virgo is really synonymous. Now let's try one more thing before we go on to somebody else. You can see how accurate that one was just by following the clear symbols in the chart. Let's go looking for his trauma. Um, Now, I don't know. I've never talked to Sigmund about any traumas in his chart, but let's go looking for where there could be one. And what we're doing for trauma is we're looking for two planets that are close together that are strange bedfellows, that are maybe not the best mix. So we can see at age 8, we can see at age 8, here's his moon. And you may not think about this, but the moon in Virgo is more sensitive than you think it is. It may not be sensitive like eyeball crying in that way, but it's very tender, it's very sensitive to criticism, etc. Now we see that he's moving along by age 8, and his moon runs into Neptune at age 8. And all of a sudden, he becomes very uncertain. This is a symbol that in his life at age 8, maybe with his mother, since the mom is represented by the moon, we can see at age 8, all of a sudden, Sigmund is standing in quicksand. He doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't know where he's going. And Virgos don't like that. Virgos need to know where they're going. But we can see at age 8 that it's quite possible some trauma hit him that had to do with a feeling like he's in quicksand. Does that make sense to you, Sigmund?
Yeah, it does. That would be a third grade.
Mhm.
And in third grade, I had a teacher who I felt really had it out for me, and never explained what was going on. It was just consequences,
Right.
and that was a rotten year. That was really terrible. Um, so that certainly was in the mix.
You can also see here at age 7, Pluto runs into Mercury. So that's only 1 degree off from this moon Neptune, which is 8 degrees. So Pluto running into Mercury is very symbolic of somebody who could be a mean teacher, somebody who had it out for you. And what that means is, here's where I'm getting off at. Because of the apparent trauma at that age, this is one reason that Sigmund, I would push him towards teaching, because he would be really into teaching in a certain way that would be non-offensive. That's what would really strike him. And with all the Libra in the 9th house, you see that as being highly tactful also. So you can see in this chart, the trauma does hold true here, that he would, what we do with trauma is we try to repair it. We try to repair it. I'm going to have to ask you to. Okay, now we're going to shift over to Erica's chart. Thank you, Sigmund. I thought Sigmund's was very accurate. Okay, here's Erica's chart. Now, we're dealing with a Taurus lady. Okay, here's Erica's chart. So we look at the main stuff right away. We look at the moon is in Leo, which is a need to be creative, especially with 3 planets there. Very strong need to be creative. That's not necessarily a Taurus quality. Tauruses don't go wild and crazy about being creative unless they got some strong Leo in there. So she's got that. We see the sun is in the 8th house, as Sigmund's was, the 8th house of digging deep and being like a counselor or being a psychologist, digging deep behind the scenes. We see 2 planets in the house of counselor, the 7th house, and 2 planets on their way there. So we have 4 planets that are surrounding that 7th house cusp. So this is the house, these are the houses of being a counselor, showing people how to do stuff, something, how to do things. We cannot overlook the most important planet in the chart, which is Neptune. Neptune is rising right on the ascendant, and Neptune is very, very powerful, which means that she would be very guided by spirit, guided by spirit, guided by intuition to feel her way towards what she wants to teach about. Now, given the Uranus in the ninth house, it shows that if she did teach, she would be teaching many different subjects. She would have a great variety to it. She would love the changing of this to that, to this, to that. This is the opposite of what Taurus is. So we see that she's not limited like a typical Taurus is. She's got a lot of flexibility here. What do we see at the top of her chart? We see the moon rules Cancer. Okay, so we're going to look to her moon for hints about her career. The moon being at the top of her chart and being in Leo, you would say it thusly. The moon in Leo rules her midheaven. The moon in Leo rules her midheaven. So we would know that not only does she have this desire to be teaching, leading, being a guide, but also she wants to be very creative at it. That's the Leo need. Leos have this incredible need to lead. Let's go jump over to her sixth harmonic. Okay. Let's see where this chart goes into the harmonics. Go to chart number 6. And here's Erica's sixth harmonic. Now, we can see that that's switched over. Now, do you notice right away the sun's all by itself? Sixth harmonic, which is the harmonic of your destiny or your job or your destiny of life track. The sun is in a bucket handle. This is the handle of the entire bucket. And the sun is the most creative planet that there is. So let's talk with Erica for a moment, and we'll come back to this. Erica, even though you've got the Taurus down to earthiness, and you got a lot of earthiness in your chart, and you got Leo creativity, do you see how strong the Leo energy is in your chart, and what does that mean to you?
Well, you were talking about how I would want to lead and I would want to teach. And I always, and of course that Neptune over there,
Right,
and wanting to like serve and stuff like that, the seventh
right.
house. So
Spiritual
I
health.
would get into the biggest trouble all the time trying to suggest to my parents what they should do about their relationship, how they should eat, what they should do. And they'd say, like, go away. When you become a doctor, you come and tell me. And I'd be like, no, but I know. And
Yes,
this was from a
those are
very young
not
age.
those are not Taurus qualities either.
I know. So I would get in a lot of trouble because I would get in the middle of people in disputes and go, hey, wait a minute, I'd be
Let's go
wanting to be
let's
out
go
there
back.
quick
Go back
after.
to her natal chart and take a look for possible traumas. Okay?
And I do fly by the seat of my pants, and you call that inspiration. I call it flying by the seat of my pants.
I like both words. Here's Erica. Okay. We're looking in your natal chart for possible trauma. Okay. Not everybody has it. Some people,
Would that be the Pluto or the Mars, or where would that be? Is there a planet or the Chiron?
You're muted, Rick.
You're still muted.
oh, okay.
There you go.
I don't know how that happened. Thank you. We're looking
Gremlins.
we're looking for we're looking for two planets that may irritate each other. Okay, first of all, we're seeing a great upset to her career when Uranus hit the midheaven. That's 11. That's 11 plus 9, age 20. Age 20. So we would give it age 19, 20, 21. Right around that time. Boom! Sudden shocking change to her career. It came out of nowhere. What happened at age 20?
Well, I was already living in New York. I wasn't married yet. I had gone there to study acting, but then that didn't work out, so I just had to do like regular jobs. I'm not really sure
Are you
because I
give,
kind of rebelled before that.
you give that some thought? Here we see at age 8, Saturn hitting your Pluto. That can be very heavy, heavy things that happen to you, similar to Sigmund. But at age 8, with Saturn hitting Pluto, that would be hardship hitting your family. What happened to you at age 8?
Well, we were immigrants and things were hard from the minute we got here. My parents were really struggling to try to survive. They were, in their late 20s, early 30s with no family over here or anything. So,
Okay, now when you take the lessons, here's the point. When you take the lessons of age 8, of the hardship that your family went through, you should be able to see that theme follow through heavily into your life direction.
oh, it does.
Go ahead.
That's why I'm
Right.
so that's why I'm so patriotic about this country and the fact that, my parents came here for freedom and, you know, I get really sappy around about that around people because it's like, damn it, this is a great country, and you can
Easy,
come here and
easy,
work hard.
easy to take for granted, yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so we see very clearly how these same techniques are working pretty well with Erica. Thank you, Erica. I'm going to
thank you
move
so
on
much.
to I'm going to
Thank
move
you.
on to Peggy now. Okay, Peggy. Uh, where is Peggy's chart? Okay. Okay, Peggy, here we go. I got your chart here. Okay. Here we go again with another third or fourth chart in a row with a plethora of Leo planets. 4 planets in Leo in the ninth house. Okay, we're dealing with a Virgo woman, right? A Virgo woman, perfect for being a nurse, perfect for being a secretary, perfect for being an office keeper. Really, really strong abilities at those three that I listed there. Um, okay, we see the sun is in the Virgo in the 10th house. Leo's at the top. So with the 10th house Virgo, we see that she would be very good in an office setting, leading an office, taking care of an office, knowing where everything is. People come to her to solve all the problems. But remember, we got that built-in conflict here between Leo and Virgo. The Virgo wants to kind of be in the background, and the Leo wants to be in the foreground. Background, foreground. How does that work out for you, Peggy? You are muted.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
when I worked for security, so I worked in office. But what I did on the side, I wanted to be a drummer. Then I wanted to play keyboards. I played keyboards. And then I originally went to school to sing, to learn to be a singer. But I couldn't get a job, doing that. And so I had this conflict. I wanted to be very creative, and I was very good at music, and I was very good at, I thought a lot of people thought I was very good at singing. But that didn't happen until I was in my 60s. So I had a big delay because my family was gone and dead, and I had to take care of myself.
What
So I had that.
happened to you at age 7 when age five when your moon hit Pluto?
A friend at school died, and I made my father take me to view his body at the church where he was to be. And I said I felt bad, but it might have been better because he was always picked on by
Okay, now
teachers.
you see how the moon Pluto works there. It's very common. The youngsters get an advanced look at death. They see a comic book that shows them things that they shouldn't see. They see their dog die that they can't handle. It's very common when Pluto gets involved with the solar arcs that the person is experiencing things beyond their age limit. So what that means to me is um, that element of what you learned during his death was a he, right?
Yes.
That some element of you seeing that death has remained with you and remains a very important part of your life direction. Does that make sense?
Well, I get bothered by suffering and death a lot. As for my life direction, that's why I try so hard to heal people so they won't die before their time.
That makes a lot of sense, and that's very Virgoan. Let's take a look at your sixth harmonic. Okay, here we go. Okay, Peggy, this is your sixth harmonic, showing us your life direction. Okay, what do we see here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, we see this burning desire to play music, to sing, to be creative. This is really, really strong. So it must have been very difficult in your lifetime to resolve this issue of wanting to be a singer and a musician and not be able to because of pressing down to earth problems.
Mhm.
Is that true?
Yep. Yes,
Okay.
that's always been that way. Mhm.
Notice at the top of your sixth harmonic, what sign is there? Libra. What does that mean? Libra. That means that you would have quite a tendency to compromise what you want to do just so that things would work out or to please your family. But it didn't compromise what you wanted. I mean, it did compromise what you wanted. So that makes sense that you get to your second Saturn return right around age 58, and then all of a sudden that pokes his nose up again through the ice. Those old tendencies, those old, probably from your 12th harmonic, those old pushes towards being creative and being musical. What happened around then?
Uh, I decided I was going to retire, and then went through a divorce, and then I felt I was free once I retired to do everything I wanted to do my whole life. So now I'm jamming it all in. I'm doing something every night with a different subject. It's really hard to jam in astrology and Reiki and on and on and on.
What are you doing?
Numerology.
What are you doing musically?
Well, I ripped up my finger a month or two ago, and I can't, but in a duet singing, playing bass. Just we did do something for disadvantaged people, for folks who have autism and stuff. We always do that free. I enjoy that audience more than any audience, you know, but when I do have an audience in a bar or a festival, I want to entertain them so that they have a moment and that they're happy.
There you
Again,
go.
it's the theme running through. I want everybody
There you
to
go. Okay, now you see
enjoy that life.
that is not a Virgo quality.
That's Leo.
That's
I think.
Leo. And you can see how
Yeah.
the Leo is going to make its statement. It's going to make its statement. As a matter of fact, Virgos even get embarrassed if they've got too much Leo in their chart.
Not
So,
anymore.
well, not now. You've got a healthy balance there. Okay, very good. Sean, let's go to you. Thank you, Peggy.
You're welcome.
Sean, how you been? Let's get you
Been
on.
doing,
Go ahead.
yes. Been good, brother. Been good, you know. To tell
Okay,
you the truth. Yeah.
good. Let's take a look at your chart. Hold on. Okay, Sean, here's your chart. All right, now we got to get one more time on the screen. Okay. Sean, we see right away we cannot ignore the fact that the moon is opposite Saturn. It just dominates this chart so strongly that we have to keep that in mind. Okay. Now, what that tells me instantly, that tells me you cannot stand working for a boss that doesn't know what he or she's doing. True or false?
Yeah, that's true.
Now, do you feel that many times that you should be the boss?
No. But I always feel like if I want to, I can.
Okay, all right. We don't see many sharp indicators here. At the midheaven, we have the sign of Leo. Once again, here we got Leo. Oh, we got your Leo maniacs tonight that all want to be creative in what they're doing. Okay, we see with solar arcs, what do we see? We see Pluto running into Saturn at age 15. That was no picnic. As a matter of fact, age 15, 16, 17. What happened during those years?
I'm not good with remembering those years, brother.
What
Um
happened? What happened during your teen years that could be considered traumatic?
the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, I had yeah, okay. I'm not even sure if that was teens. That's probably, so it probably couldn't be the thing I was just thinking.
Do you feel
Nothing really, nothing really. I was just, I was not in the mind state I was in at that time. I think I was in high school at that time.
did you feel that the world
So I
was
was just pretty much whatever. Say that again.
did you feel that the world was working against you?
Oh, no. If anything, I was working against it, probably. And I'm pretty sure that I was a little rebellious. So yeah, if I was rebellious, then I'm pretty sure that was in my train of thought as well. So yes.
When you looked at your life direction, what does creativity have to do with it?
Right now, creativity has a lot to do with it. Back
What,
then, not really. Yeah.
right now is what?
As in this moment, in this point in time where I am
Yeah,
conscious,
well, tell
my
me
mind state,
what is the what is
create-
the what is the urge about creativity now?
I just see this as infinite possibilities. So I could pretty much play with it whichever way I want this life.
Okay,
So I'm just creative. Yeah.
all right, let's take a look at your sixth harmonic. Okay. Now let's get it up one more time. Okay, here's your sixth harmonic. We see the sign of Libra at the top of your chart. Now, what that means when you got Libra at the top of your chart is you like to work in teams of people. You like to work with groups of people and everybody getting along smoothly. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Is that right?
100%. Yes, sir. 100%.
Well, explain that to me.
Uh, Pretty much you can't pass me with a frown, you know. So I just have that radiation going on, you know. So we all just get along and make sure everybody is, spirits is up.
What do you
Not
what do you do for a living?
I work at Walmart. I'm a manager at Walmart. That's pretty much it. And amongst a few other things, but that's mainly what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, let's go back to your birth chart.
It's the only job I ever had in this country.
Is that
So
right?
I've been there for working here since 2016. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, let's move on. Thank you very
You're very
much.
young, though. You're just getting started.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean. Let's go over
40 is young.
40's young. Yeah.
Yes, it is to me.
40's very young. Let's go to Susan now. Since Susan's the one that's always asking this question, let's get into her chart, see what we can find. Okay. Right off
Well,
the
you got a person here with nothing much going in Leo. That's a first for
well,
tonight.
that's a first, yeah. All right. Well, here's your chart. All right, we see the Jupiter Uranus Chiron is a big deal with the with the um with the passion towards Neptune and strongly with Venus. Okay, this is somebody who has a real strong propensity towards art. And you have been teaching art, right?
No, I taught history.
Yeah, well, you are an artist.
I'm an artist, but I was in the early years and then I stopped for teaching for about 30 years and then I went back to it.
When you went away from it, what did you do?
Um, when I found a direction, I went into teaching history. I got my master's in history.
So the 30-year period you spent mastering in history,
Yeah.
was that learning and applying?
Well, I learned how to teach and I learned my subject matter and I learned it better every day I taught it.
Why did you feel an appeal towards history?
Storytelling. I just loved the way a professor introduced the subject. He left every class on a cliffhanger, and you had to wait till tomorrow to come back and find out what happened. Unless, if you weren't lazy like me, I guess you read the next chapter, but I was lazy, and so I had to wait to hear it from him. So I just thought this was the greatest thing on earth, storytelling.
Okay, you got Sag at the midheaven. And when you have a midheaven in Sag, and you are a Sag, and you got Mercury in Sag, and you got Jupiter ruling your midheaven, what that means is when you have Jupiter strong in a chart, the person wants to expand. They don't even know where they want to go. They just want to have this expansive trip, this expansive exploration. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I would imagine I would be interested in reading your memoirs of your trip around the United States the past 5 years. Okay,
Yeah.
let's take a look at your possible traumas. Okay. This is
Okay.
too early at age 1. That's too early. We see Uranus running into Pluto at age 29. So that could have been very, very traumatic since your Saturn return happened at the same time that Uranus ran into your Pluto around age 29. So what happened around age 29?
Um, Divorce would have been about 27, and trying to pick myself back up and getting back through school was, I was 29, I was still going to college. I had stopped and then started again.
What was that like?
I was a single mom and I was trying to still recover physically. I'd had ulcerative colitis and lost my large intestine, and was kind of going it all alone. So, yeah, it was a little challenging.
Oh boy, I would say so. Okay, let's look at your sixth harmonic. And your harmonic and 6.
I was just thinking I was about 23 when I had a sudden incident that was traumatic enough to make me stop doing art. And so I don't know if that's, if 20, just about 23 would be in there.
There probably is something in 23.
Yeah.
Here in your solar arc, we see Aries at the top. And usually when Aries is at the top, it means you need to be the leader. What does that mean to you?
Um, I prefer to be comfortable in my own environment work-wise and call the shots. So designing a lesson plan fit for me. Being at the head of the classroom fit. I was much more comfortable than, just following directions of a boss.
Okay, so what we're seeing here, to summarize what we're saying tonight, is there's no easy answer to what's my best job for
Right.
me. There's no easy answer for what's my best direction. Sometimes it's just made up of natal planets and you're just like that. But usually when you talk to a person, usually a person knows what they would like to do. They know how they would like to influence other people. With Erica, we saw where she wanted to influence people um, to be nicer and to be helpful and in a Virgo way to get into things that really made sense for them. In Sigmund's way, we saw that need to teach people and to lead people through communication. And we see in Susan's way that she's got the typical Sag opposite Moon in Gemini, which means she's into everything.
Yeah.
And if you get these people in your office, it's very hard to read for them because they want to try everything. They want to be married to everyone. They want to try everything. They want to try every instrument. They just want to try things. They're experimental. So between that and looking at a person's trauma can be very, very helpful because you'll see a burning desire when the trauma is reiterating itself, when the trauma is repeating itself. You'll see a burning desire to want to solve it again.
Yeah.
That's what it is about. Well, when you're teaching, you're really trying to teach yourself how to get through this trauma by repeating it and getting through it this time.
Right.
So, anything you want to add, Rick? You are muted.
Thank you. The Saturn Venus conjunction would definitely suggest the ability to find harmony in looking at the lessons of time. That would definitely connect with the
History.
for sure. And I think it would also be interesting to you, Susan, to look at how those things interact with Mercury, because Mercury is the scribe, Saturn looks at the events of history, and see where the interplay is for you.
For me, I've always felt a strong pull towards storytelling and simultaneously towards art. And I've never felt sure which direction to go. It's been like a strong pull in both directions my whole life.
All art tells a story.
It can,
Well,
but
When you
desire to
understand
be-
what it's expressing.
okay, let me rephrase that as a strong desire to excel at wordplay and use and communicate verbally, and simultaneously to do it. And I see Erica says graphic novel, but for me it was being a really good writer versus being a really good artist. And to me, they felt like a pull between the head and the heart, and which one to follow.
well, it sounds to me like you could do both.
Maybe.
That's probably why you like
know.
giving messages with your art.
If you pull in two directions, do you really get anywhere? I don't know. It's just a question. I
Pull
don't
in
have-
the same direction. You don't have to pull in two directions. You can epitomize your message in your words and your art. They can help each other. That's why
Yeah.
I said graphic novel.
Yeah.
That's what they do with graphic novels, right? Or in films and things.
I have to look into that. I haven't, oh, interesting, like the chariot card in the tarot. Yeah, drive and pull. I haven't really looked into graphic novels. So I don't even for sure know what that format really entails.
Well,
It's
okay.
unbelievable. It's like grown-up comic books on a much higher level, and the art gets to be unbelievable sometimes, depending on the artist.
Well, okay, everybody. I'm going to cut things short tonight. I'm not feeling my best, and I appreciate you sticking with me. But I think you got the idea tonight that as an astrologer goes through the years, you get broader and bigger, and you look at different things. So for one person, it's something. For another person, it's something else. I'll tell you, it's very rare that I sit with a person and can't find something that clicks with them for their life direction. Usually there's something there. If not, it's usually because you had so much parental blockage, usually. And if you got a lot of parental blockage, then you got a whole different issue there. I'm sorry, John, since you disappeared from my screen, I didn't get to your chart.
That's okay, Rick. You
But
got
I'll
to
be
my chart many times.
glad to in the future. Okay, everybody, I want to thank you and thank you for allowing me to cut the evening short. I appreciate that.
You did a beautiful job with what you shared, Rick. It was
Okay,
fantastic.
thank you very much, everybody. Love you all.
Thank you, Rick. Take
Have a-
care.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Good
Many
time
blessings,
watching.
everyone.
Good time watching the new president tonight.
Let's go forward and not ever go backwards.
That's exactly right.
For sure.